All right, class, so now that we learned about multiplying integers in the previous instructional video, now we're going to learn how to divide integers. Now, the reason these are grouped in the same category or the same lesson in our class is because of the same reason that addition and subtraction were kind of grouped together. And that is that multiplication and division are inverse operations. Now, this became important in addition and subtraction because what happened is we just rewrote subtraction as addition and used the same rules. Well, very similarly, division expressions can be rewritten into multiplications and we can use the same rules. But what's even more fabulous about division is you don't have to rewrite it as a multiplication. You can just know that the rules are the same. So, since they are inverse operations, division follows the same rules as multiplication. Well, let's review those rules. So I'm going to do a different little organizer, and I'm going to do it by almost visual pictures this time. So say that we started with a negative times a negative, or we had a positive times a positive. Well, what I notice about both of these is that they are the same sign. What happens when they are the same sign? Well, your product, which again, excuse me. In this case, it would be your quotient. So your product or your quotient, but quotient is the answer to a division problem. Your quotient would be positive. Same signs, your answer is positive. Well, what if you had something like this? I just realized I put multiplication. We'll do product since I originally multiplied. What I will do on the second is do division. Remember, if they are opposite signs, and this time I'll set it up as a division problem because they're the same rules. If you have a negative divided by a positive, or a positive divided by a negative, your quotient is negative no matter what. So again, it's the same rules. It doesn't matter if we're talking multiplication or division. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about product or quotient. If you have the same signs, your answer is positive. If you have opposite signs, your answer is negative. So, just like before, what are your steps? You divide as if both integers are positive. Step 2, you check quotient sign based on division rules. And remember, the division rules are the same as multiplication rules, right? So again, this video is assuming you know how to divide or you know how to long divide. If you do not, please make your way to background resources in our class, and there's videos there to help you learn how to long divide so that you can participate in this with our class, okay? For our examples, we are just going to do some basic division. So, an aside that I think is really important that we need to know as well is some division basics. before we go. So the first thing is, if you set up a long division problem, right? Let's say it's A and B. This reads as A divided by B. What is A in this case? A is called the dividend. B is called the divisor. It's what we are dividing our integer by, or into what kind of amounts, right? Well, that is the same thing as this, A divided by B, or A divided by B. So we have to know all representations of division. The divisor always is second. So it's on the outside of a long division, or it's second in an expression, or the bottom of a fraction, right? The dividend is the inside, the first, or the top. All right? So that's how we set up our division problems. And we have to know that these are all equivalent to each other. So this is equivalent to this, which is equivalent to this, which is A divided by B. A divided by B. Another great quote that one of my great teacher friends told me is a great trick to remember how to convert a fraction into a long division problem. So this third representation into this first representation is to use this quote. Remember, it's top in, bottom out. Top in, bottom out. So the top of your fraction goes in, the bottom goes out. All right, so now that we have those basics, let's start actually dividing. So example 1, we're going to go 75 divided by negative 25. So we're saying how many 25s go into 75 as a whole? I know this personally, and I know that 75 divided by 25, well, 25 goes into 75 3 times. All right, so I have 3. Now I have to look at my sign. So I'm going to look. I know I have a negative here and I have a positive here. That means they are opposite, so my answer is negative. Negative 3. Negative 3. All right, what if you have something like this? This reads as negative 40 divided by negative 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide as if they're positive, 40 divided by 8. I know that 8 goes into 40 5 times. And then I have to look. Well, one's positive and wrong colors. One's negative and the other's negative. If they're both negative, they are the same sign. That means my answer is positive, positive 5. All right, we're going to practice this, so make sure to come back to class. Thank you.